As I was dying, my brain was taking all of the oxygen and all the blood from my organs, and I could literally feel myself just shutting down.
My name is Tatiana Kvitska, but I go by Tanya. I'm originally from a country called Belarus. I was born 4 years after the accident, the Chernobyl nuclear plant.
I didn't see an amputee until we began I Am Adaptive. I didn't know anybody in a wheelchair. I didn't know anybody with a TBI. And there's millions of people a year that incur traumatic brain injuries just in the United States alone. We looked at each other and wondered where the hell everybody was.
If I was off the base, I was in pants, like covered up, like didn't want people to look at me. I didn't want attention. I didn't want to deal with it. I couldn't deal with it.
In Belarus, my parents would never let me wear shorts in public, dresses in public. They would do everything to hide my hands.
People don't know where to go. People are in their homes, they're away.
And we saw a community that hadn't been touched and one that needed a voice. Handicapped and disabled are very negative terms, you know, they take away from the human spirit rather than give something to it.
Adapting is really being able to overcome and innovate and evolve as a human being.
And he kept telling me to relax because I'm like shaking with anxiety. And then it went off to start, and that all went away. And for the first time in like 2+ years, I was able to just not worry about it. And all I was doing was what I've always loved to do, and that's just lift weights.
No, I've never had legs. I don't know what it's like to run. And when I put on those prosthesis, I started running. I was running so fast that people had to catch me. I had this feeling of flying.
There's no way for you to say you can't, because if you can't and you feel that way, we're gonna find a way for you. There's people everywhere wanting to help. Engineers, mathematicians, scientists, prosthetic techs, orthotic techs. We're gonna find somebody that has a way.
I never had the opportunity to run. No matter how much I tried, and then boom, because someone helped me, because someone believed in me. Like I said, I'm loving exploring my abilities and not thinking about disability. It's quite amazing.
We're athletes. Like Tanya, who's a Chernobyl baby who just didn't develop, and guys like me that got blown up in war that played college sports, that are active.
Living with a traumatic brain injury on a day-to-day basis is one of the hardest things life has called of me. It doesn't matter what life has tried to take away from you, it's what you come back fighting with.
I knew that something needed to change or I would die. And I saw women who I wanted to be like. I saw women that were fit. I saw women that were happy. And I saw women that had found themselves through healthy eating, through exercise, through a regimen and rehabilitation that needed no medication. Finding fitness taught me how to love myself again. I'm Adaptive is a movement that we created to prove to everyone in the world that we're all on an equal playing field.
I am different, but my life is so entertaining. I know every day I have something that's unique, and I wouldn't trade it at all.
Losing my leg made me the person I am today. People need to take a step back and remember what this was all about. It's about effort. It's about a like-minded group of people that come together and they sweat and they suffer together for an hour a day, and they get better. They learn something, not just about lifting or moving weights, they learn something about themselves. Deep down inside.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you.
Cry every time.
My name is Marilyn Zosia, and I'm one of the founders of I Am Adaptive. This is my partner in life and love, Ellyse Zosia, and we are here today to speak to you about how being adaptive is related to design. About 10 years ago, I suffered a traumatic brain injury, which radically changed my life. I was comatose for a few hours, and after that, I spent about 6 or 7 months of my life sleeping for about 22 hours out of the day. I couldn't spend my time awake. I couldn't remember my name. I didn't know any of the memories that had happened in my life. And for many years after that, I had to rebuild who I was. At the time, I was a philosophy student. I was a volleyball coach, and I was very dedicated to the things I was doing. And after I woke up in the hospital that day, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I spent a while after that trying to go back to school, and after sitting through my first tests and having studied all night long, and when I got the paper, the only thing I could remember was nothing. I couldn't even remember my name to write it down. I knew that I didn't want to go through that anymore, so I dropped out, and I spent many years doing drugs and trying to die. I didn't want to be here anymore if I couldn't be who I once was. And it was through a lot of pain and a lot of feeling like an outsider and having no one there for me but myself that I really discovered that I didn't want to die that way. I walked by the doors of a building that had just opened up near me in Miami, Florida, and there were some words written on the top of this door frame that I saw, and it said, "Through these doors, you will face your toughest nemesis, yourself." And I said, that's interesting. At this point, I was more coherent. I could stay awake much longer. I still battle till this day with symptoms from my traumatic brain injury, but it was a turning point for me. I started doing CrossFit, which is what was behind those doors. It was a new form of sport that was being introduced at the time, a new form of training. And having been an athlete all my life, it seemed something for me. After being a participant in that sport, my mind started to create new neural connections. I was being able to think again. I was able to recognize people again. I didn't have to beg everyone in my past to tell me stories about who I once was. I was able to piece those things back together. And through that, my life radically changed. And I realized that I wanted to help people. And I wanted to help people that had gone through the same things I had gone through or worse situations. And I dedicated my life to doing so. I became a life coach, and I have done nothing more than to try and make other people better since then. Along that journey, I met this beautiful woman, and I'll let her tell you a little bit about herself.
I am Ellyse Zosia, and I got into fitness when I was pretty young. I was always into sports and always liked playing on high school teams and stuff, and one day I realized that I was overweight. Somebody made fun of me. And 10 years later, I was dealing with a severe case of bulimia that I thought it was going to kill me. I couldn't feel any of my family. I couldn't feel any of my friends. I felt completely alone. I didn't know how to redesign my life into something that I thought was worth it. I kind of just became a loner. And one day I decided that things needed to change or I was going to die. I saw all these women that were happy, all these women that were fulfilling their dreams, and for some reason all of these women were in the fitness industry, and they were happy and they were confident, and I wanted that. So one day it was like that. I decided, okay, I'm going to make a regimen for myself, and I'm going to become this different person. And I did, and I got my personal training certification, and what I wanted to do was to help other women that were like me and really show them that fitness was an extremely well planned out and well formed, easily redesigned for their life so they could then not be bulimic anymore. I also have a severe lactic acidosis issue. I can't work out like everybody else. It takes me an extremely long time to build muscle. My body just can't filter lactic acid, and I'm the only person like me out there, and I wanted to find other people. I kind of realized that I was different when I met my wife. She has a traumatic brain injury, and I never met anybody like her. and I wanted to help other individuals like her because I loved her so much. So what we did is we got married and we decided to make this amazing plan to have this one-of-a-kind gym. It was going to be full of CrossFit, personal training. We were going to have chiropractors, masseuses, everybody on staff. It was a one-stop shop. We were going to have it in LA, of course, where there were so many people. Tired of being in Florida. We decided to have this plan, and we were looking up all these videos, and we're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. We're going to have this amazing business plan, and we did it. We took 8 months, and then we saw this one video that completely changed everything. It was a video of a boy that was being trained in CrossFit, and he had autism. And it took 6 months for him to learn how to just throw a ball to his coach. And that's dedication, and that's a true trainer. Not just a trainer that's training other able-bodied individuals, but somebody that's really taking the time out to learn, redesign a program to fit this other individual, and we wanted to have that. So we decided to take off a section of our gym and dedicate it just to special needs. And then we saw the next video was a veteran athlete, and he was an adaptive athlete, they called him, and he had a TBI. We wondered, oh my God, Marilyn has a traumatic brain injury. What does adaptive truly mean?
So we started doing some more research, and we found the core of the adaptive word, which was being used for certain sports like adaptive skiing, adaptive cycling, but hadn't really caught on. So we saw an opportunity to redesign what was going on in the world. We came up with the original meaning, which comes from the Latin word adaptar, and it means to adjust and undergo modifications so as to fit new circumstances. With this understanding, we believe at I Am Adaptive that every species on this planet is adaptive. Every animal, every bug, every human, everything here has adapted through time to be here. We are all adapting on some form or level as we speak at this moment. You know, some of you are wearing jackets, it's cold in here, someone might be wearing glasses, some of you may be wearing orthotics, someone may have an inhaler in their purse. All those are small form of adaptations. So when you see someone that uses a wheelchair to get around or needs a prosthetic leg to move, it's just another form of an adaptation. And we saw that there were negative words like handicapped and disabled, which were taking away from people. When someone like myself went through something in the hospital and I was told about my injury, had I been put in a wheelchair, I would have even felt like my life was more over. And these individuals are put in chairs, they're given these tools to move, and they're told all the things that they can't do, rather than the things that they can do. So we started seeing a shift in mentality that we wanted to create, an awakening of consciousness, as we'll say, and we really started to design what was needed at that point. We decided that we needed to step up and make things happen. We started making a community anywhere that we could with the people that we found around us. The biggest advantage that we had was using social media to touch as many lives as possible. We made an Instagram account, we bought the name I Am Adaptive, and we ran as far as we possibly could with it. And we just took the opportunity to find as many people as possible that were out there doing something positive, and we reposted what they were doing. We reposted their pictures, we reposted their videos, and soon we just had such a global response from everybody that it's been a beautiful thing. Some of the hard facts that we found in our research was what people were going through on a yearly basis, and this is just in the United States. Over 185,000 amputations happen per year. 1 in every 15 seconds, someone incurs a traumatic brain injury, which is incredible. Spinal cord injuries, 12,500 new cases a year. That's 1,600 new babies are born with spinal bifida. Spinal bifida children are wheelchair users. 6,000 newborns every year with Down syndrome, autism. It's incredible statistics for that, and multiple sclerosis. These are just some.
2 million people living with amputations just in the United States alone. Traumatic brain injuries, 5.3 million traumatic brain injuries existing in the United States alone. Spinal cord injuries, 276,000. Spina bifida, 166,000. Down syndrome, 400,000. Autism, 3.4 million. MS, 400,000. CP, cerebral palsy, 764,000. Blindness, 8.3 million. And suicide is a big one that we're working to bring down those numbers as well. 40,000 Americans per year. It's the 10th leading cause of death, especially in veterans, makes up 22.2%. And that's mostly Vietnam veterans, not mostly veterans that are coming back right now. Not taking care of the older veterans is a very big problem that we're trying to face as well. But these are just statistics in the United States. And that's when we kind of wondered, Where is everybody? Why had I never met someone else with a traumatic brain injury? Why have I never seen somebody with a prosthetic? Why have I only seen very few amount, maybe 2 or 3 individuals as active wheelchair users? Nobody really in fitness outside of the Paralympics. We wondered, why aren't we seeing anybody, and what's the problem?
So we started to see what was lacking. We found that there was a lack in community design. We saw that there was no one voice for all of these organizations. There was so many different organizations like the Blind with the Blind, Amputee Coalition, different foundations for breast cancer, and just everybody was everywhere. But there was one thing that was uniting everyone, which was the fact that we were all fighting to survive, all fighting to adapt through these lives that we were given and the situations that we had been placed in. So we started to see that lack of community that existed, and we saw an opportunity. We also saw a lack of vocal design. There was no one really standing up for the entire voice as a unit, but rather just separate. And we saw that there was a lot that needed to happen.
Lack of language design. This is probably the most important part of it all. It's really the beginning. It's how we speak about each other and how we speak about ourselves. Unfortunately, the words handicapped and disabled are very negative. I don't want to have to look up handicapped sports. I don't want to feel myself as being handicapped. I don't want to look up disabled sports. I don't want to feel as I'm disabled. I don't want to talk about my disability, my handicapped. Just those affirmations of saying, I am, that's a really big problem. And really understanding what the word handicap means. It was a game played by 3 individuals. It was like a barter guess game. And then it turned into sports with horses. They would take the strongest horse and they'd put weight on it to handicap it so it would give the other horses a chance. After that, they're like, why are we doing this? Let's just let the fast horses run and call the other horses handicapped. And that's where that all really started, is really putting a downgrade of language on what that meaning was. But we're really trying to take away the words handicapped and disabled. Without those words, we're all the same. We're all adaptive. If I can find a way for you to be able to walk, are you handicapped or disabled anymore? If you can now play the sport you want to play, does that make you handicapped or disabled? It does not. So really finding those problems are the root problems. Lack of technology design. The cost of mobility equipment, probably going to blow your mind. The average leg prosthetic is about $23,000. The new bionic arms that they're coming out with that you see on television, they're $80,000 to $100,000 each. Most not covered by insurances because some of those things aren't needs. Let's say you want to run and you've never run, but now you're a recent amputee and you want to get into sports. You're going to have insurance companies coming and saying, we're not going to give you a running blade because it's not a need, it's a want. You were not active prior, so why do you want to be active now? We're coming on a lot of problems like that. 3D design is really coming about. A lot of people are starting to get into 3D hand prosthetics, which is really great. We're trying to push more individuals to work with 3D leg prosthetics as well. There's just a lack of technological development with so many engineers and scientists out there. It's really amazing how little we've come with being able to make others mobile around us. So we have some problems. We found some stuff. Now what are we going to do about it?
So we decided that we would create a 3-tiered system. We decided that education was one of the biggest components and most important. We needed to go out into society and really teach people what was going on. It was the fact that people were overcoming their hardships. This was at the Miami Beach High School. We brought 3 amputees, 2 lower amputees, and 1 upper to speak about their lives. And all 3 were extremely beautiful women prior to their accidents, but I'd have to say that they're more beautiful now since they've become these individuals. Mm-hmm. They're all sports stars. They do amazing things. They're part of the Paralympics. They're breaking world records, and they're really phenomenal individuals. And it goes to show you that just because you're missing a leg or an arm or a toe or an ear or you've had a heart surgery or anything, nothing should stand in your way. And through that education is how we've really touched people. So we created what we call the I Am Adaptive Army. And these women are part of our army and part of the advocacy that we do in the world through education. Our next tier was socialize. We, again, saw a huge lack of community. I'm a graphic designer and 3D animator, so I'm used to doing a lot of research, and I'm used to making a lot of things online and making them look very aesthetic and nice looking. And all of these websites aren't. They're 1980s websites. They're old government websites. People don't want to go and find information. They don't want to go and find how to do things. They don't want to, again, look up the word handicapped or disabled.
So we really wanted to create a social community, and we really started that on Instagram, Facebook, getting letters, writing to people, networking, calling everybody that we could to find out how to really create and connect one another. And using social media has been an extremely advantageous marker for us to be able to use, but we also travel to events, any kind of sporting event, health event, technology event, design event, anything that we can find to really seed ourselves into and let other people know that there's so many millions and millions. 1 out of every 10 of us has a more profound adaptation, and 1 out of every 5 of us is going to incur a more profound adaptation at some point in their life, recover, may not, may have to continuously adapt. But being social and really talking to one another, getting other teams involved, getting gyms involved, and really understanding the athletes in their community that exist. And connecting children at events as well, really starting at a young age and creating that unity that they have a social connection with, can talk with one another, socialize, and really have a beautiful, great life at the very beginning.
Our last tier was Mobilize. We created something called Project Mobilize. We work with companies that create these prosthetics and wheelchairs and any tools needed to adapt, and we're trying to find the most economical ways to get them in the hands of individuals. These are some of the companies and models that we work with. We love to work with animals too, as you can see. On the left, you'll see part of one of our giveaways that we've created with one of the companies that we work with called Freedom Innovations. We're very interested in this kind of stuff. It's taking things to the next level and really showing people what can be done. Ellyse is holding up one of the legs from the companies we work with that they sent to us as a gift. It's a 3D prosthetic leg cover, and it's now being used as I want to say as a fashion statement, but something
Makes it sexy.
Yeah,
Makes it super sexy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something that's very close to our hearts that we work on continuously. Something else that started happening was we started to listen and read messages from people from all over the world. We started to get messages of people saying, "Thank you so much. I had no idea that there were so many people like me in the world. I had no idea what my body could do if I was pushed by my rehab therapist. I can now do these things." And this is a note that we got not that long ago. It was from an individual that was about to have an amputation in a week's notice, and they wanted to thank us for the life that they were now able to live, knowing of all these other individuals around them. These are the things that keep us going when we've gone through about 5 days of no sleep and going through event after event. So we really wanted to find and talk about the difference that we all feel and the similarities that we all feel and the importance of bringing them both together. And we do that through showing that we have the ability to redesign our lives.
Redesign is really the way that we feel you're able to see success. Continuous failure is the only way that we got here today, I think all of us. Continuously finding what parts don't work and moving on then to the greater parts of us. This is Amanda. She was hit by a car, she was a pedestrian, and then 6 months later she was hit by another car. Now she has complete paralysis in her right leg. She does obstacle course races, Spartan races. This is her first day. We brought her into CrossFit and wanted to CrossFit train her up, and she's killing the tires, and now she's killing them all the time. We're going to be running the Atlanta Spartan Super with her on Saturday as well, with her boyfriend Todd, who is a Marine. He's a triple amputee. They're incredible people. He's really pushing the limits of skydiving and sports altogether, but learning how to redesign your life to make it what you want. It's just finding those gifts that make you who you are. And now we ask, can you adapt? We're making it a challenge. Can you adapt to the next thing? Can you adapt to this life? And here we can unleash our true potential, and we really start it with
the importance, the importance behind the words I am. Anything that you attest to the words I am is incredibly powerful. Please take that with you today, if nothing else. Whether it's saying I'm so stupid, or I'm so fat, or I'm so ugly, these things are heard by our subconscious mind, and they really shape the way that we act and the way that we live our daily lives. So we wanted to create something incredibly powerful, and we went with I am adaptive, which means that I can adapt to anything. It doesn't matter what life throws at my way, I will be able to adapt. This is one of our amputees right before our H2O in the flow retreat that we had. These are some of the athletes that we work with on a continuous basis. Amazing individuals doing amazing things.
We just finished our first year. September 25th was the mark of our first year of being around. It's just been me and Marilyn doing, every single thing from the design to the conception to content, meeting everybody. On Instagram, we have 22,600 supporters. Facebook, 7,800. Almost 13,000 people hashtagging I am adaptive in a variety of ways. It's really amazing. We've so far given away 2 running blades in the last few months. We've attended over 27 events, and our memories are never ending, just like this one. This is from our H2O and the Flow event that we just held. It was a mind, body, and soul event, and we met some amazing people and had some amazing times. And what does the future hold for us?
We were mentioning the I'm Adaptive Army, and we also created what we call the I'm Adaptive Compete Team. This is made up of the best adaptive athletes in the world that we have found. They cover up a number of sports, and you will definitely be seeing them if you stay in touch with what we do. We also created an immediate trauma relief program, which is made to help anybody that incurs a trauma. We also want to be traveling to other countries when traumas happen so that we can be right there to let people know that there is this world and this organization and this network waiting for them, whether they've lost a leg or incurred any other trauma. We also have our World Inclusion Tour, which we are now putting together to truly hit the world with as much education as we can and really put into people's faces the possibilities that are out there, because likeliness is that someone in this room, many of us in this room, might lose a leg or might lose an arm or might know someone that will, might know someone in a wheelchair. And all these things exist. They're real. And we don't see them as often. And they need to be known and they need to be put into our faces so that we're faced with them. And once you see that there is life after, it's a beautiful thing. And lastly, we are working on our Adaptive Institute. This will be a place of rehabilitation. It will be a place where anybody can go, whether they're an athlete or not, to truly get back on their feet. We will house incredible design at this location, and we are looking forward to bringing this to the world.
Kind of like a hive, like a cumulative hive of designers, artists, engineers, everybody in one place to really make things happen at an impactful time and impactful force all at once. So please check us out online, find out how we're connecting the dots, and we look forward to seeing how all of you adapt.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, guys.